3 seconds. That is all the time it takes to destroy a reputation you spent 10 years building. We have all been there. You are in a meeting. Everything feels normal. Then, one sentence lands the wrong way. Your heart spikes. Your jaw tightens. And before your rational mind even wakes up, you have snapped at your boss, yelled at your partner, or sent a text message that you are going to regret later. You feel like you lost control. Because you did. But here is what they don't teach you in school. This isn't a personality flaw, it isn't weakness, and it certainly isn't because you are a bad person. It is a biological glitch. It is your ancient hardware attempting to run modern software, and failing. Science calls it the Amygdala Hijack. It is a mechanism designed to save you from tigers. But today, it is destroying your career and your relationships. In this audiobook, I am going to show you how to fix that glitch. We aren't just going to talk about calming down or thinking positive. Positive thinking does not work when your nervous system is on fire. Instead, we are going to use the exact psychological protocols used by elite military operators, high-stakes negotiators, and top-tier executives. I am going to give you the Regulation Toolbox. We are going to cover the biology. Why your brain shuts down in 200 milliseconds. The body. How to hack your nervous system to stop panic instantly. The mind. How to rewrite the stories that drive your anger. The environment. How to design a life where triggers can't touch you. By the end of this audiobook, you won't just be coping, you will be in command. If you are tired of apologizing for things you said when you were angry, if you are tired of feeling drained by your own reactions, you are in the right place. This is your guide to becoming unfuckwithable. Let's rewire your response. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Biology of Regret. Why you lose control in 200 milliseconds. I want you to picture a moment I am sure you know well. You are in a meeting. Maybe it's a standard Monday morning update. You have your coffee, you have your notes, everything feels calm, everything feels safe. Then, one sentence lands the wrong way. Maybe your boss questions a number on your slide in a tone that feels just a little too sharp. Maybe a colleague makes a sarcastic joke at your expense. Maybe you check your phone under the table and see a text message from your partner that says, "We need to talk." And instantly, the world changes. It happens so fast you don't even decide to do it. Your heart spikes, going from 70 beats per minute to 120 in a heartbeat. Your jaw tightens. Your stomach drops like you just missed a step on a staircase. Heat rushes up the back of your neck, and before you have even processed the words, you are reacting. You snap back a defensive answer. You shut down and go silent. Or you type a furious reply that you know you shouldn't send. But your fingers are moving on their own. You have just been hijacked. It feels like you lost control because biologically you did. Your brain was taken over in less time than it takes to blink. Specifically, it took 200 milliseconds. To understand why this keeps happening and why it is ruining your relationships and your peace of mind, we have to look under the hood. We have to look at the machinery of your mind. Deep inside your brain, right near the center, you have a pair of almond-shaped structures called the amygdala. This is your threat detection center. It is the security guard of your brain. It never sleeps. It never takes a break. It is constantly scanning every face, every email, every tone of voice, asking one single question. Am I safe? And when the answer is no, when it detects a threat, it hits the panic button. And it hits that button fast. The amygdala processes a threat in roughly 200 milliseconds. But here is the problem. The part of your brain that makes you you, the part that handles logic, reason, strategy, empathy, and your career, is called the prefrontal cortex. Think of the prefrontal cortex as the CEO of your brain. It is smart, it is rational, it considers the long-term consequences. But the CEO is slow. It takes the prefrontal cortex approximately 600 milliseconds to wake up, analyze the situation, and show up to the fight. Do the math. 200 milliseconds for the security guard to fire. 600 milliseconds for the CEO to arrive. That leaves a 400 millisecond gap. In that gap, your emotions are driving the car and your intelligence is locked in the trunk. The security guard has already locked down the building before the CEO even knows there is a problem. By the time your rational brain finally arrives to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't scream at the boss, or maybe we shouldn't send that breakup text, the damage is already done. Daniel Goleman, the psychologist who popularized emotional intelligence, called this the Amygdala Hijack. It is the reason smart people do stupid things. It is the reason loving partners say hateful things. It is the reason calm parents suddenly find themselves screaming. And it is quietly steering your life, your reputation, and your happiness. But why? Why would nature design a brain that sabotages us? The answer lies in what we call the evolutionary trap. You are running ancient software in a modern world. Millions of years ago, on the savannah, this 200 millisecond reaction was not a glitch. It was a superpower. It was the only reason your ancestors survived. When a saber-toothed tiger jumped out of the bushes, you didn't have time to sit there and analyze the data with your prefrontal cortex. You couldn't say, that looks like a predator, perhaps I should calculate a retreat strategy. If you thought for 600 milliseconds, you were lunch. You needed to run, or you needed to fight, immediately. That speed saved your life. The hijack was a survival mechanism, but here is the tragedy of modern life. You are not living on the savannah anymore. You are navigating office politics. You are dealing with a passive-aggressive email chain. You are sitting in traffic. You are trying to get a toddler to put on their shoes. But your amygdala, it hasn't received the software update. Your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a tiger and a trigger. To your ancient brain, a rude comment in a meeting feels exactly the same as a physical predator. To your ancient brain, being rejected by a partner feels exactly the same as being exiled from the tribe, which used to mean death. So, it treats social threats as biological threats. It deploys the full arsenal of the fight-or-flight response. It floods your system with adrenaline and cortisol, which is the stress hormone. It pumps blood away from your organs and into your major muscle groups, your biceps and your thighs, so you can punch or run. But here is the scariest part. To save energy for the fight, your body pulls resources away from the systems it thinks aren't essential in a crisis. Digestion stops. The immune system pauses, and blood flow to the prefrontal cortex is restricted. Listen to that again. When you are hijacked, you are not just angry. You are chemically lobotomized. Your IQ actually drops. You lose the ability to think creatively. You lose the ability to see nuance. You lose the ability to empathize. You become simpler. You become faster. You become dumber. That is why you can't think of the perfect comeback during the argument. But 10 minutes later, in the shower, when you are calm, the perfect line pops into your head. It's because your brain literally came back online. This state, this functional stupidity, is where the cost of the hijack becomes real. Think about the last time you lost control. Maybe it was road rage. You cut someone off, risked an accident, risked your life. For what? Because they made you wait 3 seconds. In that moment, your amygdala said, this is a battle for survival. But in reality, it was just a commute. Think about an argument with your spouse. The hijack starts over something small, the dishes, the schedule. But then the cortisol hits. Suddenly, you aren't arguing about the dishes. You are bringing up things from 3 years ago. You are using words like always and never. You never listen to me. You are always selfish. That isn't you talking. That is the hijack talking. That is the security guard trying to burn down the building to save it. And then, the wave passes. Usually, it takes about 20 minutes for the chemicals to flush out of your system. You cool down. The prefrontal cortex wakes up. You look at the text you sent. You look at the face of the person you hurt. And you feel that heavy sinking weight in your gut. Regret. You ask yourself, why did I do that? That isn't who I am. And you are right, it isn't who you are, but it is who you become when you leave your biology on autopilot. Now, I want to be very clear about something. This is not a personality flaw. If you struggle with this, it does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you are broken. It does not mean you are a bad person. It means you are human. It means you have a functioning survival instinct that is overperforming in a safe environment. However, and this is the most important thing I will tell you in this chapter, while the hijack is not your fault, it is now your responsibility. You cannot control the fact that your amygdala will fire. That is automatic. That is biology. You cannot stop the first 200 milliseconds. But you can control what happens in the gap that follows. You can learn to intercept the signal before it reaches your mouth. You can learn to widen that 400 millisecond gap into 6 seconds, 10 seconds, or a minute. You can learn to bring your CEO back to the office before the security guard starts shooting. Most people go their whole lives being slaves to this mechanism. They react, then they regret. React, regret. It is a loop that destroys careers and marriages. But you are here because you want to break that loop. To do that, we cannot just use positive thinking. You cannot wish your chemistry away. We need to use tools that are faster than thought. We need to hack the system. We aren't going to start with the mind because the mind is too slow. We are going to start with the body. In Chapter 2, I'm going to show you the specific biological override switch for your nervous system. I'm going to teach you how to turn off the alarm in real time so you can stop the spiral before it starts. Chapter 2, Somatic Hacking. Override your nervous system. Have you ever tried to tell an angry person to just calm down? It never works. In fact, it usually makes them angrier. Why? Because you are trying to use logic to fix a biological problem. In Chapter 1, we learned that during a hijack, your prefrontal cortex goes offline. It is literally disconnected. So trying to think your way out of a panic spiral is like trying to start a car with no fuel. You can turn the key as hard as you want, but the engine isn't going to turn over. You don't need to change your mind yet. You need to change your body. We call this somatic hacking. To understand why this works, you need to understand the wiring of your nervous system. Think of it like a two-way radio. One channel goes from your brain to your body. We call this top-down processing. That's when you think, I want to pick up this cup, and your hand moves. Or you think, I am sad, and your shoulders slump. But the other channel is just as powerful, yet we rarely use it. It goes from your body to your brain. We call this bottom-up processing. When you are hijacked, the top-down channel is broken. Your brain is flooding with static. You can't think yourself calm because the part of you that thinks is offline. So, we have to use the other channel. We have to use the bottom-up channel. We have to send a physical signal from your lungs and your muscles up to your brainstem that says, we are safe. Turn off the alarm. Here are the two most powerful tools to do that. Neither of them requires positive thinking. Neither of them requires you to close your eyes and meditate. They are mechanical overrides for your biology. Let's start with the first tool. The physiological sigh. You have heard the advice, take a deep breath 1,000 times. But most people do it wrong. When they are stressed, they take a big gasp of air into their chest. If you do that right now, if you take a giant gasp, you will notice your heart rate actually speeds up. That is the opposite of what we want. To hack your nervous system, we need to do something specific. We need to offload carbon dioxide. When you are panicked, carbon dioxide builds up in your bloodstream. That buildup is what triggers the feeling of suffocation and anxiety. To fix it, we use a breathing pattern discovered by neuroscientists that acts as a kill switch for stress. Here is the protocol. You take 2 sharp inhales through your nose, and then 1 long, extended exhale through your mouth. Here is the science behind it. Your lungs are filled with millions of tiny air sacs called alveoli. When you are stressed, these sacs tend to collapse and deflate like a balloon losing air. When they collapse, oxygen can't get in, and carbon dioxide gets trapped. The first inhale fills your lungs, but the second, shorter inhale pops those little sacs back open. It increases the surface area of your lungs instantly. Then, the long exhale signals your heart to slow down. Let's try it together right now. Wherever you are, as long as you aren't underwater, let's do a practice round. Sit up straight. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Now, take a second, tiny sip of air on top of that. Now, exhale slowly through your mouth, like you are blowing through a thin straw. Let all the air out. Let's do it one more time. Big inhale through the nose. Second pop of air. Long, slow exhale. Feel your shoulders drop as the air leaves your lungs. That sense of release you are feeling? That isn't magic. That is your heart rate physically slowing down in response to the diaphragm moving. The moment you feel that heat rising in your chest, before you speak, before you type, do 2 physiological sighs. It takes less than 10 seconds. But biologically, it is like hitting the reset button on your computer. Now, let's move to the second tool, the grounding shift. The physiological sigh handles the chemical flood. But we also need to handle the spatial disorientation. When you are hijacked, your attention narrows sharply. You get tunnel vision. You become obsessed with the threat, the email, the rude comment, the story in your head. Biologically, anxiety feels like upward energy. You feel like you are floating, spinning, or unanchored. Your amygdala is screaming, "Danger, we are unstable." To stop the spiral, we need to force your attention outward and downward. You might have heard of the 5-4-3-2-1 technique, naming 5 things you see, 4 things you hear. That works well for general anxiety. But in the heat of a high-stakes meeting, or in the middle of an argument with your partner, you can't exactly stop and start counting lamps on the ceiling. You need something invisible. So, we use the gravity version. Shift your focus entirely to the sensation of gravity. Gravity is the one constant in your environment. It never changes. By focusing on it, you give your brain a stable reference point. Here's how to do it. Shift your attention to your feet. Feel the weight of your feet pressing into the floor. Don't just think about your feet. Actually feel the pressure of your soles against the ground. Then, feel the pressure of your back against the chair. Feel the weight of your legs. By physically sensing the support of the chair or the floor, you send a raw data signal to your brainstem. I am supported. I am here. I am solid. It forces your brain to process physical reality instead of emotional fantasy. Now, I want to address a common question. People ask, how can I do this in a meeting without looking weird? I can't start huffing and puffing in front of my boss. This is where we introduce the concept of stealth regulation. You do not need to make these tools obvious. You can execute them invisibly. For the physiological sigh, you don't need to make a loud noise. You can do the double inhale silently through your nose and exhale slowly through your nose instead of your mouth. No one across the table will hear you. To them, it just looks like you are thinking. For the grounding shift, it is completely invisible. You can be looking your boss directly in the eye, while 50% of your attention is focused on the sensation of your feet on the floor. In fact, this makes you look more confident. When you are grounded, you stop fidgeting. You stop leaning forward aggressively. You become still. And in human psychology, stillness is interpreted as power. So, here is your complete protocol for tomorrow. The moment you feel the hijack starting, the racing heart, the tight jaw, the urge to scream, first, do not speak. This is the most important rule. Nothing good comes out of your mouth in the first 5 seconds of a hijack. Second, hit the ground. Push your toes into the floor. Feel the chair. Remind your body that you are physically safe. Third, hit the sigh. 2 silent inhales. 1 long exhale. You have now stopped the flood of cortisol. You have stopped the adrenaline from rising higher, but the chemicals that are already in your blood, they are still there. You are calmer, but you are not clear yet. We have stopped the fire from spreading, but the room is still full of smoke. You've just learned how to stop the spiral before it takes over. These tools are small, but they're powerful. They give you something most people never get. The ability to hit pause when your biology tries to hit fast forward, and that pause is where your power begins. But once you have paused, what do you do next? You are silent. You are breathing. But the other person is still staring at you, waiting for an answer. In the next chapter, I'm going to teach you how to weaponize that silence. I'm going to show you how to use the next 6 seconds not just to survive the moment, but to take control of it. Chapter 3. The 6-second rule. Weaponize silence. In the previous chapter, we put out the fire in your body. You hit the physiological sigh. You felt your feet on the floor. You stopped the adrenaline from spiraling out of control. But now, you are facing a different problem. You are standing in a room with a boss, a partner, or a client who is waiting for an answer. The air is thick. The tension is high. They just said something that triggered you. And now they are staring at you. And your brain is screaming at you to do something. It screams, defend yourself, explain, apologize, attack. We have a deep biological fear of silence. In our modern culture, we have been conditioned to believe that speed equals intelligence. We think that if we answer instantly, we look smart. We think that if we pause, we look confused. We think that silence implies guilt or weakness. I am here to tell you that the exact opposite is true. Speed is not your friend. Speed is your enemy. Silence is not weakness. Silence is a weapon. This brings us to the most critical rule of emotional regulation, the 6-second rule. Let's look at the biology one more time. When the amygdala hijack begins, the flood of cortisol and adrenaline does not hit you all at once like a light switch. It surges like a wave. Neuroscience research suggests that this neurochemical flood peaks in approximately 6 seconds before it begins to subside. 6 seconds. That doesn't sound like a long time, but in the middle of a heated argument, 6 seconds feels like an eternity. It feels like a lifetime. Here is the danger zone. If you speak during those first 6 seconds, you are not speaking. The chemicals are speaking. You are speaking through a filter of pure aggression or pure fear. You are not using your prefrontal cortex. You are using your survival brain, and the survival brain is not known for its diplomacy. It is known for biting. But if you can wait, if you can ride out that wave for just 6 seconds, your prefrontal cortex begins to boot back up. The fog clears. The IQ points you lost start to return. The difference between a career-ending outburst and a leadership moment is often just the discipline to wait for the wave to crash. So, why is it so hard to shut up? Because of the urgency trap. When we feel threatened, our brain equates safety with action. We feel a compulsive need to fix the situation immediately. If someone criticizes your work, you feel you must justify it right now. If someone accuses you of being late, you feel you must make an excuse right now. This is a trap. When you rush your response, you are signaling to the other person that you are rattled. You are signaling that they have control over you. You are dancing to their tempo. Confident behaviors are slow. Insecure behaviors are fast. Think about a king versus a jester. The jester moves fast. He talks fast. He is desperate to please. The king moves slow. He speaks when he is ready. He is comfortable in the silence because he is in control. I want you to adopt the king-queen mindset. You do not rush for anyone. So how do we buy those 6 seconds without looking like we have frozen in panic? We use the tactical pause. High performers, negotiators, CEOs, elite military operators never rush their response. When someone challenges them, they do not counterattack instantly. They pause. They let the silence hang in the air. And here is the secret. Silence is a power move. When you stay silent for 5 or 6 seconds, you shift the dynamic of the room. You force the other person to sit in the discomfort. Most people cannot handle silence. If you stay quiet, they will get nervous. They will start talking to fill the gap. They will backtrack. They will start negotiating with themselves. I didn't mean it like that. I'm just saying, maybe we could try. While they are scrambling to fill the silence, you are stabilizing. You are not freezing. You are reloading. Let's look at a case study. The scenario. You are negotiating a salary raise. Your boss looks at your number and laughs. He says, "That is ridiculous. We can't pay that." Let's look at the fast response. You panic. You instantly start talking. "Oh, Well, I know it's high, but I've done a lot of work, and I'm willing to negotiate, and the result? You have already lost. You signaled insecurity. You gave up ground before the battle started. Now, let's look at the tactical pause. He says, that is ridiculous. You do nothing. You keep eye contact. You breathe. You count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The silence gets awkward. The boss feels the pressure. He shifts in his seat. He clears his throat. I mean, look, the budget is tight this year, but maybe we can look at a bonus structure. The result? He just offered you money because you stayed silent. You won the negotiation by saying nothing. But I know what you are thinking. I can't just stare at people. It feels weird. It feels aggressive. You are right. Sometimes total silence is too intense. So, you need a bridge. You need what we call pause phrases. These are pre-loaded verbal holding patterns. They buy you time without giving up your power. They signal that you are thinking, not freezing. Here are the 3 best phrases to keep in your back pocket. Phrase number 1. Let me think about that. This is simple. It is direct. It is honest. It signals that you take what they said seriously, but it moves the timeline to your pace. It says, I am not going to give you a knee-jerk reaction. I am going to give you a considered response. Phrase number 2. That's an interesting point. Give me a moment to process it. This works wonders in heated arguments with a partner or spouse. It disarms the other person. You aren't fighting back, you are processing. How can they attack you if you are just thinking about their interesting point? It lowers the temperature in the room instantly. Phrase number 3. I want to respond to this thoughtfully. This is the ultimate status move. It implies, I respect myself too much, and I respect you too much, to give you a sloppy, emotional reaction. It frames your silence as a sign of respect, rather than a sign of weakness. Here is the drill. The next time you feel the pressure to reply fast, stop. Step 1. Maintain eye contact. Why? Because looking away signals submission, and looking down signals shame. So, look at them. Step 2. Breathe. Specifically, use the physiological sigh from Chapter 2. Step 3. Count to 6 in your head. Step 4. If the silence feels too heavy, drop a pause phrase. Say, let me think about that. You have now calmed the body. You have bought the time. Your rational brain is finally back online. But, now that you have your brain back, what are you going to do with it? Your brain is back online, but it is probably still telling you a negative story. It is probably still whispering, they hate you. We have fixed the timing. Now we have to fix the narrative. In the next chapter, we are going to look at the stories your brain is telling you and how to rewrite them before they destroy you. Chapter 4. The prefrontal override. Name it, reframe it, tame it. We have calmed the body with the sigh. We have bought 6 seconds of silence. You are standing there, breathing, waiting. But, inside your head, there is still a voice screaming. It's saying, they disrespected you. You look like an idiot. This is unfair. You have to fight back. Even if your body is calm, if your mind keeps repeating these stories, you will re-trigger the hijack. You will spiral right back into chaos. Why? Because your brain is a meaning-making machine. It hates uncertainty. When something happens, a look, a tone, a delay, your brain instantly tries to fill in the blanks. And because the amygdala is designed for survival, it fills in the blanks with the worst possible story. It doesn't say, maybe they are busy. It says, they are ignoring you because you are failing. That story is what drives the panic. So, we need to intervene. We need to perform a prefrontal override. We are going to turn your brain from an enemy into an ally. We are going to use logic to neutralize the emotion. Let's start with step 1. Name it to tame it. Here is a fascinating piece of neuroscience. Brain imaging studies have shown that when people see an emotional image, like an angry face, their amygdala lights up. It goes wild. But, The moment the person attaches a word to that emotion, the moment they say, "This is anger," the amygdala activity drops immediately. Why? Because language lives in the prefrontal cortex. To find the word anger, your brain has to send a signal from the emotional center to the logical center. You are literally forcing your logic brain to come online just to find the vocabulary. But here is the catch. You have to be specific. Most people have the emotional vocabulary of a toddler. They only know 3 words: happy, sad, pissed off. If you lump every negative feeling into pissed off, you are keeping your brain in a primitive state. Elite emotional regulators have emotional granularity. They don't just say, "I'm stressed." They say, "I am feeling overwhelmed. I am feeling disappointed. I am feeling inadequate. I am feeling betrayed." The more precise the word, the more power you take away from the feeling. Now, let's upgrade the label. Most people say, "I am angry." Do not say that. When you say, "I am," you are making the emotion your identity. You are telling your brain that you and the anger are the same thing. You are merging with it. Instead, I want you to use the "I notice" frame. Say, "I notice I am experiencing anger." It sounds subtle, but biologically, it is a massive shift. You are no longer the anger. You are the observer of the anger. You are the sky. The anger is just a cloud passing through. Let's practice this. Imagine you are in a meeting and someone interrupts you. Let's look at the old brain. It screams, "I am furious." And the result is, you snap. Now, switch to the new brain. It says, "I notice I am feeling dismissed. I notice my chest is tight." And the result? You stay cool. This creates the necessary distance. And in that distance, you find control. Now that you've created space, you can look at the situation with clear eyes. Once you have named the emotion, you move to step 2, cognitive reappraisal. I call this the Sherlock Holmes method. Your brain has written a horror story. Now, you need to investigate the crime scene to see if the story is actually true. Usually, it's a lie. You need to put on your detective hat and ask 3 specific questions. Question 1. What is the actual evidence? Not your feelings. Not your assumptions. Facts. What would a video camera see? Let's look at a scenario. Your boss sends an email that says, "We need to talk. My office, 3 p.m. The story your brain tells is, "I'm in trouble. He's mad. I'm getting fired." But look at the evidence. The email was 8 words long. It said a time. It said a location. Does it say, "You're fired"? No. Does it use angry caps lock? No. The evidence is neutral. Your brain added the drama. Strip the story. Keep the fact. Question 2. What else could this mean? This is where you force your brain to be flexible. I want you to generate 3 alternative explanations, even if you don't believe them yet. Alternative 1. He is in a rush and typed it quickly at a red light. Alternative 2. He has a new project for you and wants to brief you. Alternative 3. He is actually the one who is stressed and needs your help. The moment you generate alternatives, the threat disappears. The tiger turns into a kitten. You move from panic to curiosity. Question 3. What is the realistic worst case? Sometimes the threat is real. Maybe you did make a mistake. When that happens, your brain starts catastrophizing. It goes, mistake leads to fired, leads to homeless, leads to dead. You need to stop the spiral with decatastrophizing. Ask yourself, okay, what is the realistic worst case scenario? Realistic worst case. You get a reprimand. You have to stay late to fix it. It will be uncomfortable for 20 minutes. Is it fatal? No. Can you handle it? Yes. Then ask, what is the best case? Best case, it's a promotion. Then ask, what is the most likely case? Most likely, it's a routine correction on a file. Boring. Neutral. Your brain hates boring, but boring is usually where the truth lives. Now, let's see how this works in the real world. Imagine you come home from work. You are excited to see your partner. You walk in, say, "Hello," and they barely look up from their phone. They just grunt. Let's look at scenario A. The reaction path. The trigger hits, silence. Instantly, your brain writes a story. They are ignoring me. They don't care about my day. They are selfish. You feel the emotion, resentment. So you take action. You storm out of the room or make a passive-aggressive comment, and the result? A fight that lasts all night. Now let's rewind and try scenario B, the override path. Same trigger, silence. But this time, step 1 is the pause. You stop. You don't speak. Step 2 is the label. You say to yourself, "I notice I am feeling rejected. I notice I am feeling hurt." And just like that, the amygdala cools down. Step 3 is the Sherlock Holmes method. You ask, "What is the evidence they are mad at me?" None. They just didn't speak. What else could this mean? Maybe they had a terrible day. Maybe they are reading a stressful text from their boss. Maybe they just have a headache. So, you choose a new action. You walk over calmly and ask, "Hey, you seem quiet. Tough day?" And the result? They sigh and say, "Yeah, work was brutal." You connect. You support each other. Same trigger. Totally different outcome. The only difference was the story you told yourself. Here is the truth. You are the narrator of your own life. Every moment, every interaction is just raw data. You get to decide the caption. You can caption your life with tragedy. Everyone is out to get me. Or you can caption your life with strategy. This is a challenge I can handle. Your assignment for today: catch yourself telling a story. The next time you get cut off in traffic, catch the story. That guy is a jerk. And reframe it. Maybe he's rushing to the hospital. Even if it's not true, it helps you. It keeps your cortisol down. It keeps you in control. We have now mastered the internal game. You know how to calm your body, pause your reaction, and rewrite your thoughts. But wouldn't it be easier if you didn't have to fight this battle 10 times a day? What if we could stop the triggers before they even touch you? In the next chapter, we stop playing defense. We start playing offense. We are going to redesign your environment. Chapter 5. Environmental Design. Engineer a life that reduces triggers. We have spent the last 4 chapters talking about what happens inside your head. We've talked about biology, breath, silence, and stories. But we have to be honest about something. You can be the most disciplined person in the world. You can master the breath. You can master the pause. You can have the mental fortitude of a monk. But if you are living in a war zone, you are eventually going to get hit. If your environment is chaotic, your nervous system is constantly humming at a low level of red alert. You are priming your amygdala to fire. There is a concept in psychology called ego depletion. It basically means that willpower is a battery. Every time you resist a distraction, every time you ignore a ping, every time you tolerate a rude comment, you drain that battery. If you spend 8 hours fighting your environment, your battery is dead by the time you get home. And when your battery is dead, your prefrontal cortex, the part of you that controls your temper, temporarily disengages. That is why you snap at your spouse over a dirty dish. It's not the dish. It's the fact that you spent all day fighting a chaotic environment. So, we need to stop relying on willpower. Willpower is for amateurs. Pros rely on design. We are going to redesign your cockpit. We are going to engineer a life where you don't have to fight so hard just to stay calm. Tool number 1. Eliminate the micro hijacks. The biggest enemy of emotional control in the 21st century is not a tiger. It is not your boss. It is in your pocket. Your phone is a dopamine slot machine, but it is also a cortisol dispenser. Every single notification, every ping, every buzz, every red badge is a micro hijack. Think about the biology. A loud ping is designed to trigger an orienting response. Your brain asks, what is that? Is it urgent? Is it a threat? Is it a reward? For a split second, your focus breaks. Your cortisol spikes. You are pulled out of the green zone of calm and pushed toward the red zone of stress. Now, imagine that happens 100 times a day. You are living in a state of chronic low-grade fight or flight. You are exhausted before you even start work. Here is the digital protocol. Level 1 is the purge. Go into your settings right now. Turn off all non-essential notifications. Instagram, TikTok, news, games. If it is not a text from a human being you love, or an urgent work alert, it does not get the right to buzz in your pocket. Level 2 is the batch. Do not leave your email tab open all day. That is inviting chaos. Check email 3 times a day. Morning, noon, end of day. When you check it, you are in work mode. When you close it, you are in focus mode. Level 3 is the gray world. This is an advanced tip. Turn your phone screen to grayscale, black and white. Suddenly, those bright red notification badges look like nothing. They lose their emotional grip on you. You regain control over the device, instead of the device controlling you. Tool number 2. Social engineering. We talk a lot about toxic chemicals, but what about toxic people? You know exactly who I am talking about. The energy vampire. Maybe it's a coworker who only wants to complain. Maybe it's a family member who knows exactly how to push your buttons. Maybe it's a friend who creates drama because they are bored. These people are biological hazards. They infect your nervous system with their stress. Now, you can't always fire your family. You can't always quit your job. But you can engineer your exposure. The strategy is limited exposure. If you know a specific person triggers you, do not go into interactions with them unprotected. First, limit the duration. Say, I only have 5 minutes to chat. Then I have a meeting. Second, limit the depth. Keep conversations on safe, neutral topics. Do not engage in their drama. Third, script the exit. Know exactly how you are going to leave the conversation before you start it. You don't need their permission to protect your peace. You don't need to be polite at the expense of your mental health. You need the discipline to set the boundary. Tool number 3. The trigger map. You cannot avoid a trap if you don't know where it is. Yet most of us walk through our days blind, stepping on the same landmines over and over again. I want you to audit your life. I want you to look at your week like a general looking at a battlefield. Where are the ambushes? Grab a notebook, make 3 columns. Column 1. Who triggers me? Column 2. When? What time of day am I most vulnerable? Is it right before lunch when you're hungry? Is it late at night? Column 3. Where? What locations are high stress? The commute? The Monday morning meeting? Once you map the hot zones, you stop being a victim, you start being a strategist. If you know Monday morning traffic is a hot zone, don't just sit there and get angry. Engineer it. Leave 15 minutes early, put on a calming playlist or this audiobook. Do your breathing exercises before you turn the key. If you know Sunday night is a hot zone because you are dreading work, engineer it. Plan a relaxing ritual. Prep your meals so the morning is easy. When you map your triggers, you can disarm them before you even step on them. Tool number 4. Buffer zones. Most people run their day back to back to back. Meeting at 9 o'clock, call at 10 o'clock, email at 11 o'clock, crisis at 12 o'clock. There is no space. And when there is no white space, stress stacks. It works like compound interest. A minor annoyance at 9 a.m. stacks on top of a delay at 11 a.m. By 2 p.m., your baseline stress is so high that a tiny trigger, like a dropped pen, causes a massive explosion. You need to manually insert air into your schedule. Elite emotional regulators build recovery windows. You need buffer zones. 15 minutes in the mid-morning, 15 minutes in the mid-afternoon. Block it out on your calendar like a meeting. Focus time. Strategy block. Whatever you have to call it, so no one bothers you. During this time, close the door, turn off the screens, do nothing, walk around the block, stare out the window, do the physiological sigh. These aren't breaks. These are system reboots. They flush the cortisol out of your system so that you start the next block of work at 0, not at level 8. Here is the challenge for this chapter. I want you to pick one environment to fix today. Look at your desk. Is it covered in clutter? Clear it. Look at your phone. Is it buzzing right now? Silence it. Look at your calendar. Is it a solid wall of meetings? Cancel one. You cannot control every trigger in the world. The world is chaotic. But you can control your cockpit. And when your cockpit is calm, you can fly through the storm without crashing. But even with the perfect design, life happens. Eventually, the defense will fail. The ambush will come from nowhere. And when that happens, when the design fails and the trigger hits you hard, you don't need a map, you need a weapon. In the next chapter, we are going to build your emergency protocol, the automatic response system for when everything goes wrong. Chapter 6, the emergency protocol, build your automatic response system. There is a famous saying in the military, often attributed to the Navy SEALs. Under pressure, you do not rise to the occasion, you sink to the level of your training. This is the most critical concept in emotional mastery. And it is the one most people ignore. We have spent the last 5 chapters filling your toolbox. You know about the physiological sigh. You know about the tactical pause. You know about reframing and environmental design. But knowing a tool exists is not the same as using it when a grenade goes off. Think about a fire drill. We don't teach children how to leave a burning building while the building is on fire. We teach them on a calm Tuesday morning. We drill it until it is boring. We drill it until it is automatic. Why? Because when the hijack hits, when the adrenaline is dumping into your blood, and your vision tunnels, and your heart is hammering against your ribs, you will not remember to be smart. You will not remember to be calm. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of you that learned all these smart techniques, steps back. It has left the building. You cannot rely on your memory in a crisis. You need a protocol. You need an automatic, pre-programmed response system that runs without your permission. You need a script that executes even when your intelligence is at 0. We call this the if-then algorithm. Psychologists call this an implementation intention. It is a simple code you write for your own brain to bypass decision fatigue. When you are hijacked, making a decision is expensive. Trying to decide, should I breathe? Should I walk away? Should I yell? Costs energy you don't have. The if-then algorithm removes the choice. It works like this. If specific trigger happens, then I execute specific protocol. By deciding the action before the crisis, you remove the hesitation. You don't have to think. You just execute. Let's build your emergency protocol stack. This is the sequence I want you to drill until it becomes muscle memory. It combines everything we have learned into a strictly ordered 60-second reset. It has 3 steps, and you must do them in order. Step 1 is the physical interrupt. The rule is, if I feel my heart race or my jaw clench, then I immediately do the physiological sigh. Why physical first? Because, as we learned in Chapter 2, you cannot reason with a flooded nervous system. If you try to reframe your thoughts while your adrenaline is spiking, your brain will just argue with you. It will say, no, they are attacking us. Fight back. You have to cut the power cord to the alarm system. 2 sharp inhales through the nose, 1 long exhale through the mouth. Do not speak, do not type, do not move toward the person, just breathe. This is the circuit breaker. Step 2 is the tactical pause. The rule is, if someone is waiting for an answer, then I count to 6 or use a pause phrase. This is the hardest part. The urge to fill the silence will be overwhelming. Your ego will scream. If I don't answer now, I look weak. Ignore your ego. Your ego is trying to get you fired. Count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or drop the anchor. Let me think about that. You are buying time. You are waiting for the chemical wave to crest and crash. You are waiting for your prefrontal cortex to reboot. Step 3 is label and reframe. The rule is, if the story in my head says attack, then I shift to I notice. Use your internal monologue. I notice I am feeling defensive. What is the evidence that I am in danger? This is the override. This is where you bring the pilot back into the cockpit. Now, let's look at what this looks like in the real world. Let's play out a simulation. Imagine it is Friday afternoon, 4 p.m. You are tired. You are looking forward to the weekend. Suddenly, an email lands from your boss. The subject line says, "Urgent. We need to talk about the project errors." Let's look at scenario A. The reaction. You have no protocol. Your heart drops. Your face gets hot. The story begins instantly. He's going to fire me. I worked so hard on that project. He doesn't appreciate anything. You are hijacked. You furiously type a reply. I didn't make errors. The data you gave me was wrong. You hit send. 5 minutes later, you realize you just started a war you can't win. Your weekend is ruined. Your career is damaged. Now, let's look at scenario B, the protocol. The email lands. Urgent. Errors. Your heart drops. Your face gets hot. Trigger detected. Step 1. Physical. You push your chair back from the desk. You take your hands off the keyboard. You hit the physiological sigh. Inhale, inhale, exhale. You do it again. The panic spike stops rising. Step 2. Pause. You stare at the screen. You do not open the reply box. You count. 1, 2, 3. You realize you don't need to reply instantly. You have time. Step 3. Reframe. You label it. I notice I am feeling panicked. I notice I am terrified of being fired. Then you ask the question, what is the evidence? You reread the email. It doesn't say, you're fired. It says, we need to talk. Maybe it's a small error. Maybe he's stressed. You decide to wait until Monday morning to reply, or you send a calm note. Received. I'll review the data, and we can discuss Monday. Result. You keep your job. You enjoy your weekend. You look professional. That is the difference between a reaction and a protocol. One destroys your life, the other protects it. Now, I have to be honest with you. Even with this script, you might still fail. Why? Because of ego. In the heat of the moment, anger feels good. Self-righteousness feels powerful. Your brain wants to explode because it feels like justice. Using the protocol feels boring. It feels like swallowing your pride. You have to decide, right now, what is more important to you. Do you want to be right? Or do you want to be effective? You can be right, explode, and lose the relationship, or you can be effective, run the protocol, and win the long game. To help you make that choice, you need one final tool. You need an external anchor. I want you to take a physical index card or a sticky note. I want you to write 3 words on it. Breathe. Pause. Reframe. Put it in your wallet. Tape it to your computer monitor. Set it as your phone background. Why? Because when your rational brain shuts down, you literally forget who you are. You forget you listened to this audiobook. You forget your goals. You need an external cue to snap you out of the trance. You need to see the command to obey it. Let's do a dry run right now. Wherever you are, unless you are driving, let's practice the sequence. I want you to visualize the last thing that made you angry. Maybe it was a rude driver. Maybe it was your spouse leaving dishes in the sink. Maybe it was a political post online. See it. Feel that little spike of irritation in your chest. Got it? Okay. Protocol go. Step 1. Do the breath with me. Sharp inhale through the nose. Again. Now long exhale through the mouth. Let your shoulders drop. Step 2. The pause. Don't speak. Just listen to my voice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feel the urgency fading? Step 3. The label. Say it in your head. I notice I am feeling irritation. Now ask, is this worth ruining my day? That's it. That is the drill. If you can do that in a simulation, you can do it in reality. But you have to commit to the drill. We have now built the machine. You have the tools, the environment, and the protocol. You are no longer helpless. You are competent. But competence is not the finish line. Mastery is not just about stopping the bad moments. It is about building a mind that is so strong, so resilient, that the bad moments stop mattering entirely. In the final chapter, we are going to talk about emotional immunity. We are going to talk about becoming unfuckwithable. Chapter 7. Emotional immunity. Become unfuckwithable. We have reached the final chapter. We have talked about biology. We have talked about breathing. We have talked about protocols and pauses. But there is one level beyond managing your triggers. Management is what you do when you are trying to survive a crisis. Mastery is when the crisis no longer feels like a crisis. There is a modern term for this state of being. It is a little aggressive, but it is the only word that fits. You want to become unfuckwithable. Now, before you roll your eyes, let me define what that means. Being unfuckwithable does not mean you are arrogant. It does not mean you are cold or distant. And it most certainly does not mean you stop feeling emotions. This is the biggest myth in emotional mastery. Most people think that a master is a robot, someone who never feels anger, never feels sadness, never feels fear. That is false. If you don't feel emotion, you aren't a master, you are a sociopath. Mastery is not the absence of emotion. Mastery is the ability to feel high-intensity emotion without losing your center. It means you can stand in the middle of a hurricane and not get blown away. It means you can feel the wave of anger hit you, recognize it, process it, and let it pass, all without handing the keys of your car to the amygdala. In this final chapter, we are going to talk about how to build emotional immunity. We are going to move from playing defense, stopping a hijack, to playing offense, raising your threshold so the hijack never happens. Imagine your nervous system is a dam. The water behind the dam is stress, emotion, and chaos. If your dam is weak, even a little bit of rain causes a flood. A rude comment? Flood. A traffic jam? Flood. You are constantly patching leaks. You are constantly using the tools from chapters 1 through 6 just to stay dry. But if you build a stronger dam, a higher, thicker wall, you can hold back an ocean. A crisis that would destroy a normal person doesn't even spill over your edge. So, how do we build a stronger dam? We do it the same way we build stronger muscles, resistance training. You cannot build a strong nervous system by living a comfortable life. You have to expose yourself to controlled discomfort. Tool number 1 is training the nervous system with cold. I know. You have heard about ice baths. You have heard about cold showers. It sounds like a trend, but biologically, it is the most efficient way to train your hijack threshold. Here is the science. When you step into freezing cold water, your body has a massive automatic panic response. Your amygdala screams, "We are dying. Get out." Your heart rate spikes. Your breath becomes shallow. You want to run. Does that sound familiar? It should. It is the exact same biological signature as an angry confrontation. But here's the difference. In the shower, you are in control. If you can stand in that cold water for 30 seconds and force yourself to breathe slowly, using the physiological sigh, you are teaching your brain a new lesson. You are teaching the security guard, we can feel high-intensity stress and we can stay calm, we are safe. Here is the protocol. Start tomorrow morning. At the end of your shower, turn the knob to cold. Just for 30 seconds. The shock will hit you. Do not jump out. Stand there. Control your breath. Inhale. Inhale. Exhale. If you do this every day for 30 days, you will notice something strange. When your boss yells at you, or when your kids scream, your heart won't race as fast. You won't panic. Why? Because your nervous system has been to the gym. It knows how to handle the load. Tool number 2 is voluntary social hardship. Most of us organize our lives to avoid uncomfortable conversations. We say yes when we want to say no because we don't want conflict. We avoid giving feedback because we don't want the awkwardness. This avoidance makes us weak. It lowers our threshold. If you want immunity, you have to inject yourself with small doses of the virus. I want you to schedule one difficult conversation a week. Maybe it is setting a boundary you have been avoiding. Maybe it is asking for a raise. Maybe it is asking a trusted friend for brutal, honest feedback on your behavior. When you initiate the conflict, you are in control. You can prep your pause phrases. You can prep your I notice labels. You are entering the simulator. You are practicing the skills when the stakes are manageable, so that when the real crisis hits, you aren't learning on the fly. Now, we need to talk about timelines. You have listened to this audiobook. You have the tools. You feel motivated. But motivation is a feeling. Neuroplasticity is a biological process. You cannot rewire a brain that has been reacting for 20 years in a single weekend. You cannot undo a lifetime of amygdala hijacks with one deep breath. You need to commit to the 100-day protocol. Why 100 days? Because that is roughly how long it takes to turn a conscious behavior into an unconscious habit. For the next 100 days, you are going to fail. You are going to try to pause, and you will miss the window. You will yell. You will regret it. That is okay. That is data. The goal is not perfection. The goal is compression. Maybe last year, it took you 3 days to get over an argument. Next month, make it 3 hours. The month after that, make it 30 minutes. Eventually, you will process the emotion in 3 minutes. That is mastery. Mastery is the speed of recovery. So, why do this? Why take cold showers? Why map your triggers? Why carry a sticky note in your pocket? Is it just so you can feel calm? No, it is bigger than that. It is about legacy. Think about the people you respect most in this world. Do you respect the person who explodes when the waiter gets the order wrong? Do you respect the leader who panics when the quarterly numbers are down? Do you trust the partner who falls apart every time life gets hard? No. We trust the people who stay steady. We follow the people who can hold the chaos without becoming the chaos. Your legacy is not defined by what you achieve when everything is going right. Your legacy is defined by how you behave when everything is going wrong. When you master your emotions, you become a safe harbor for the people around you. Your children learn how to regulate by watching you. Your team learns how to lead by watching you. Your partner feels safe because they know you aren't going to capsize the boat. You stop being a victim of your biology and you start being the architect of your life. We have covered the biology. We have covered the body. We have covered the mind. You have the framework. But knowing the path is different from walking the path. Here is the brutal truth. Tomorrow, something will go wrong. A driver will cut you off. An email will land. Your plan will fall apart. In that moment, your amygdala will scream at you to react. It will offer you the easy path of explosion or the comfortable path of shutting down. But now, you have a third option. You can spot the spark before it becomes a forest fire. You can take those 6 seconds. You can choose to be the person who stays calm when everyone else is losing their mind. So, here is your final challenge. I want you to pick just one trigger. Maybe it is the morning traffic. Maybe it is the notification sound on your phone. Do not try to fix your whole life today. Just pick that one trigger. And the next time it happens, pause. Prove to yourself that you are in charge. If you are ready to make that commitment, if you are ready to stop reacting and start controlling, I want you to comment the word control down below. It's a small commitment to yourself. It's a signal that you are done being a passenger. Don't let your emotions drive the car. Put them in the passenger seat. You are the driver. Now, this protocol is just the first weapon in your arsenal. This channel is not here to entertain you. It is here to build your mental toolkit. In the coming weeks, we are going to break down the psychology of focus, discipline, and unbreakable habits. So, if you are ready to build a mind that is truly unfuckwithable, click that subscribe button right now. Do not miss the next briefing. I'll see you there.